The game in front of you has a terrible cover, so it's not worth your time. Don't play it, don't even look at it, and I'm going to tell you exactly why this attitude is wrong. Hello everyone, and today we're going to be looking at bad board game covers, and this is something that happens quite a lot, where they design covers that are not appealing, that are not attractive, and put people off of the games altogether. Why is this important? These are the things we're going to go into during this episode. I'm going to talk about why it's important, why you should not judge the game before you've even looked at it, why you should even try games that have terrible covers, and we'll go into all of this. I'll also discuss some really good examples of where I myself have fallen into this trap and found out the errors of my ways. Let's begin with the old adage, the old saying, that you should never judge a book by its cover. There are far too many games out there that have atrocious covers, and it is because of that they get overlooked. And this is where this saying holds true. Although you may pick up a game and you feel you're not interested in it, and I myself have done this, where you are completely turned off from the cover itself, it is always worth putting a little extra time investigating it to see if it actually sounds interesting. Reading the back of the box could be enough to sway your decision and pique your interest. But is this the fault of the customer or the fault of the actual designers from their poor choice of artwork? When you're trying to sell a product, you need it to look nice. So a lot of the responsibility to sell the product is on the designers or the artists, but they are not necessarily going to do the best job at selling the game, at making it enticing and interesting to customers. Even though there might be a great game contained within, they might do a poor job at presentation. And so it's worthwhile you not judging it solely on its outward appearance and doing a little more investigation, seeing if it is something that sounds like what you're after. Because this principle, this idea of don't judge a book by its cover has been around a long time. It's relevant for books, it's relevant for movies, DVDs, Blu-rays, it's relevant for video games, and even they could trick you where a cover could be atrocious and the game itself could be really enjoyable. And so it's always worth that extra step to investigate something a little further than just a cursory glance. Obviously, art is a very subjective matter, and you're never going to appease everyone. You're not going to make everyone like your style of art, your look. So no matter what choice they choose when they're trying to advertise their game or show it off on the front cover, it's not going to appeal to everyone. But this is why I feel it's important for us as customers, as gamers, to just do a little bit more research into the game, because I am speaking from experience here. I have been off-put by games just by the artwork on the cover, and in some cases it was very fortunate that I actually picked up the copy and tried it. And throughout this video I'll share a few examples so you understand where I come from. But this is the main crux of this episode, is really why it's important not to base your decision solely on the outward appearance and presentation. So we'll begin with one of the prime examples I've got from my collection, and there's a game called Cockroach Poker, and I heard about this game through watching the Dice Tower videos, and I had seen this game in shops many times before, and every time I passed it, saw it, I looked at the art on the cover, I looked at its style, and I passed over it. I glanced past it. I didn't even pick it up to look at it. So no matter how many times I saw this game, how many times I spotted its bright, vivid colours and unusual art, I never once picked it up to look at it, or even gave it a chance of a read of the back cover of how the game worked. But because of numerous recommendations through some of the Dice Tower crew that I enjoyed watching, I decided to give this game a try. I ordered it, got my copy, read the rules, was quite surprised, got it to the table with the family, and it was a huge blast. Everybody loved playing it. It hit right on the mark. It was funny, it was entertaining, there was a lot of deception and backstabbing. It's a perfect bluffing party game. Kakalakam poker, or cockroach poker, however you want to call it, really excelled. It blew my mind. I did not expect it to be as much fun, as entertaining, as enjoyable an experience as it was. And it really left a mark. And you know what? The art on the cover is reflective of the art you get inside this game. All of the cards follow the exact same art style. This very kiddie-ish tone, this very childlike book kind of style. And it's completely not my style at all. I would never pick up a game based off this particular artistic flair. But you know what? Now that I played the game, that I found I enjoy it, the art has really grown on me. And this is a perfect example of where, just on the artistic style, the cover itself, I was completely off put from the start, and I would never have given this game a chance. And this is exactly the kind of message I'm trying to get across to you with this episode, is that a game may have a terrible look, a horrific cover, ugly art, and it may put you off just from seeing it on the shelf. But you know what? It's worth a little bit of curiosity. If something piques your interest, but you're off put by the cover, just pick it up and give it a read. See if from the blurb on the back of the game that if it's something that might pique your interest. Because I've played many games now where, had I seen them in the shops and not picked them up on sales or recommendations, that I would have overlooked them. Now don't get me wrong, you will find games that are just as bad as the covers themselves. The games will be badly designed, they will have terrible mechanics, they will not look as though they've had any afterthought in their conjuration, their creation. So you will find some bad eggs out there when you're looking for games, good ones. But there are hidden gems, and you can find them with a little bit of effort. Let's be honest, no matter how much we talk about terrible game covers and highlight the importance of creating and designing attractive games and making them appeal to the customers, the games companies, the designers, they're still going to continue to make these same mistakes time and time again. You're going to get games that look horrendous, that are bad in appearance, and they're going to off-put you. And this is going to keep going forever. This is not something that's going to stop. Of course, they're getting better and we're getting more artistic and more stylized games that really grab your attention when they're on the shelves. But there's always going to be bad covers, and will, on occasion, do a huge disservice to the actual game within the box. So really, I want this to be a bit of wisdom and a bit of guidance to those out there who are looking at games and judging them on the covers alone, who are new to the hobby, or just people who are the same as myself and how I used to be. I used to just glance over the games and never give them a chance if they didn't catch my attention. Now I'm a bit more inquisitive, I'm a bit more curious. I do explore and look at games that I ordinarily never would have in the past. Now I look at different things, I try different things, because I still might find the diamond in the rough, the epic little game. So I'll reel off a couple of good examples to get you into it. Proof that my original way of thinking would have made me miss these great titles. One of the weirdest games covers that I've ever come across is Hit Ze Road. And this has a very old school American family kind of look on the front. And at first glance, I wouldn't even give this game even a look in my original way of thinking. What they've essentially done here is very unusual, is they've said that this is a zombie apocalypse game, and it is a game about fighting hordes of zombies. And the actual cover has been drawn on, scribbled on, wrote on, as though this game has actually come out of a zombie apocalypse and people have made it into their own game. It's a very artistic style and a very interesting way to make the game stand out. And at first it looked horrendously terrible to me, but inside is a fantastic piece of art. They have pulled numerous components together, made it look like a mishmashy project where people in an apocalypse have essentially put all these bits together, jumbled them all into the box to create a board game. And you know what? It really works. It really works. It's a fantastic game. But the cover would not have sold me on it at all. It's the weirdest amalgamation of stuff that I've ever seen for a board game. But it works. The cover now draws me in. The cover works for me in my head. It makes sense why they've chosen this artistic flair, this artistic style. It is a prime example of a game that I would have overlooked. Santa Maria is another game that has a cover that is not particularly terrible. It's just not stand out. It doesn't really draw you in. And it's a theme that probably won't appeal to everybody, being a conquistador kind of style. For me, I had zero interest in it. Overlooked it numerous times. But because of highly regarded reviews that I heard in YouTube videos, I was sold on giving it a try. And I picked up a copy. Once it arrived, we played a game of it, and it really grew on me. It was very intricate. It had great mechanisms within it and a nice look and style to the game when it's on the table. And I really liked it. I went from absolute distaste to the game itself, not because of anything negative about it, just because I just didn't like the style. And I've moved over to now I like the game a lot. And the cover hasn't particularly grown on me. I don't love it, but I have a lot more respect for it because inside is a great game. And had I not listened to these reviews, had I not given the game a chance, I would have missed these experiences and these great sessions that me and my games group have had with it. And it's still in my collection, it's still upstairs, it's not going anywhere. I'm going to be playing this game again in the future. Santa Maria is a fantastic game. Another one is Booty to the Clever Go the Spoils, a horrendous name. The worst cover I think I've got in my collection by far. It's just horrendous. The only reason I got it is I got it in a sale with a few other games. I think it was like a Christmas sale. I bought a whole bunch of games for probably less than 50 quid. And I just thought it was £5, I'll get it. And it was probably around a year before we even got round to trying it. But you know what? Everybody at the table was enjoying it. Everybody. Nobody was bored with it. Everybody had a good time. It was very enjoyable. And it was a great experience. And if I'd have ignored the game based on just its presentation alone, I would never have had that experience. And do you know what? The game itself is still in my collection as well, and I still want to play it. So these are examples of how games have completely flipped the lid. They have reversed my expectations. So I guess that brings it to the conclusion for this episode. Obviously I think I've got my point across, is that judging the games solely on their outward appearance and presentation can make you miss games that are great and make you miss great experiences. It's worth putting a little bit more effort in when you're looking at games and considering them, to also give a chance to games that don't necessarily have the most striking appearance, that don't pull you in at first glance. It's worth a little bit of a look. Check out the back, see if it sounds interesting from the description. Inside could be the game that appeals to your group perfectly and you want to play over and over again. And this has happened to me numerous times. So I hope you've enjoyed this. Please let everybody else know below any games that you think had horrible, atrocious covers, but you really enjoyed once you actually played them. Have you even tried a game that you didn't like from the outward appearance? Let's see what people come up with. But I hope you've enjoyed it. and I hope this advice helps some people find some great games. And obviously I'm not saying just because a game has a bad cover that it might be good. You will pick up games that have terrible outward appearances that are shockingly bad and are not fun games at all. But hopefully you will try and discover new things by not overlooking games simply on a first glance basis. Thank you for listening. Let people know what you think and games you think have terrible covers down below. I'll see you next time. Please subscribe, leave a comment, and I'll see you then.